Thank you very much for having me over again. Really appreciate it. It's so good to get out.
I know.
And look what you've been working on. Amazing project. So what have we got here, George?
Well, it's good to have, first of all, thanks, Mike, for coming over and sharing this with me and with your audience. It's good to have a project actually right now while things are the way they are. So it's fun to have this little project. This is a 1966 Ducati. It's a Mark III. The Mark I was the race bike of this era, and this is the 5-speed Mark III. The Mark I was the all-out Veloci hot rod. This has the same motor, the same specs as the Mark I in '66. They basically did away with the Mark I. This became the Mark I in a sense of specs and the way it's set up. Traditionally, this bike would have had black frame, silver fenders and headlight, and everything that's blue would have been black on it. It came in different configurations. I'm still learning all about this. This first Ducati that I've owned, I did a cosmetic restoration on a 900 SS. That was a customer's bike. And that got me into Ducatis because I really loved the way they were engineered and the design and the castings and all the beauty of them. So this bike came as a bits of, I basically had the correct motor and a correct gas tank, which is unusual for the model because it's cut away on the bottom for the carburetor, which was a little bigger carburetor. Okay. And so I have the correct tank, the correct motor, and the frame. I had to modify this frame to Mach 3 specs because I had to have rear set control pieces welded onto the frame. Basically the frames are all the same for most of these, from 200s up. They were all, these bikes started as, I believe, a 175, and then they bored them out. They made 200s out of them, and then they came out with the 250 later as a new design. And they had a 160 too, which was, they're quite popular, and they're beautiful little bikes. They have the jelly mold tanks and so forth. This one's a pretty conventional tank, no knee pads, but cut away. It's two-tone. It'll be the blue and silver, same with red pinstriping. It has little triangular shaped toolboxes that go on, and it has a little race hump seat, and all that was pretty standard for the bike. So like I said, I'm learning because I've had to buy parts from all over the world to put this thing together, and I've tried to get as many new old stock parts as I can. So it's all correct, even though it wasn't an original bike. It's been put together from original parts. And that's been the hard part, is finding all the original parts. Some of the pieces are aftermarket reproductions. You have to fit everything. Nothing fits perfect. So it's been a learning curve, and I've tried to use all the correct parts, but I've made everything prettier. This is my project. I'm doing the blue frame. The Diana 64 Diana and earlier had blue frames, and they were a 4-speed. Same bike, blue frame, blue and silver, and then they did the Mach I, which was all red and silver, and the Mark III, which was black and silver. So this is my interpretation of the Diana Specialé, is what I'm calling it.
Yeah, it's like jewelry, isn't it? It's just
beautiful,
isn't it?
It's fun.
Oh my gosh!
I had boxes of things that I called my jewelry box before they went on the bike. I'm doing mostly stainless on the bike for the hardware, and I'm sanding it and polishing it myself. I'm using the original bolts wherever necessary and appropriate. These are Boriani rims and the stock hubs and stainless steel spokes that I had Buchanan lace these up for me, and they polished everything. I had to have the rims extra polish and the spokes extra polish, and of course they polished the hubs. There's not much chrome on the bike because everything I've bought that's chrome on the bike was already chromed when I got it. So some of it's original Italian chrome, and little things like switches and so forth are all new old stock. They've been put away for 50 years in a box somewhere. So they're just original as they were in the day. But I've done extra polish on the hubs and all. The factory probably did a pretty quick polish on the brake drum backing plates and things like that. But I've gone the extra mile and made it a little shinier, a little prettier.
My goodness. What's been the most challenging piece? I know you've still got the engine. I'm just looking at that bevel drive on there.
Got the head pretty much done.
What was the hardest component, subassembly to work on so far? Or most challenging?
Well, I would say probably fitting the fenders up has been, not the front one so much, but the back one. Is a pattern. These came from, I think I got these from England. This rear one wasn't quite the right contour, so I've had to do a little stretching here and there. We had to replace some of the rivets because they were crooked and cocked, you know, and they looked bad. And so Rob, our painter, he popped a couple of them out and replaced them and had to tighten other ones up. There were holes. They had drilled them wrong. At whoever made them had drilled them wrong. I think they're made in Italy. And so they had filled some holes. They did a nice job. They leathered them in. They were all metal fill. But so I had to have Rob redo that. We had to add some extra backing plates inside to strengthen them, where they would normally have had, you know, a backing plate where the taillight piece mounts and all. So I did all the correct things to make them look like they're correct. I'm running the wiring a little different. I'm going to make my own wiring harness. I'm doing all solid state electrics on it. So this has been the easy part. Fitting, I'd say putting the front end together is fiddly because it's all loose bearings, and there's 24 loose bearings in there, top and bottom. And you got to pull it all together without the balls falling out, and then you've got to get the top triple on, and then you got to get a nut on, and underneath that nut there's actually a spring and a washer that goes underneath the damper knob. So it's a real fiddly thing to put together. I had it clamped and strapped together, and then the top came apart on me, and I lost the balls, and I had to take it apart and start all over. So it's, and the factory has you do it one way, but I don't know how you can wrestle it. Maybe they had 3 guys holding the front fork tubes up and doing it, because they have you extend the forks, you know, and lock it down, and then you insert it, and then you put your, because you have to insert all the pieces on top. It was a little fiddly. It took me probably half a day just to get the front triple tree together, just fiddling around with it. But the rest of it's just, you know, taking my time, and it's the nice part, it's the fun part. It's not the dirty part, it's the clean part. Yeah, the speedo goes right in the front there. It's a 150 mile an hour speedometer, a little optimistic. These were rated at 106 miles an hour. I think Cycle World magazine tested it at the Mach 1, which is the same motor.
That's a rev counter bracket as well, tack
yes,
bracket.
Yeah, that's the vaguely.
It's shielded, isn't it? It looks like it's shielded halfway.
That only came on this model. It only came on the Mach 3. It didn't come on the Mach 1 for some reason, which was the true race bike, and that's what it was. Basically, was a race bike that you could buy right off the showroom floor and take out and race, and that's what guys were doing. It didn't come with the tack. Now this tack is an aftermarket one, and I don't have. The correct one is very expensive, and I keep looking for a good used one, because the top unscrews on the original ones. This one's probably made in Taiwan or something. It says it's Italian, but who knows. It doesn't have quite the quality feel that I know I'm going to want on the bike later. The Speedo is being rebuilt, and I had to make a new needle for it because it has a little clear plexiglass needle with a painted white tip on it, and it was yellow. So I tried cleaning it up, took it off, tried cleaning it up, and I cleaned the face and all, but the needle broke. It was so brittle with age. So I made a new one, and you can't tell the new one from what I mean, the new one from the original one. It looks fine, so it'll be very nice. This has the tack drive come right off of the top of the drive right here, off the bevel drive, and of course this is the famous bevel drive setup, and it has these really unusual springs. And this one normally would have shims, just like my Alpha does. You would replace the shim for the valve adjustment. They came with the adjustable rocker like this is as well, but the Mach 3 and Mach 1 had the shims. I'm not sure why. The race guys must have figured it was either easier or faster to reshim them. I don't know, but from what I've learned is that there's no difference in. And this certainly is a lot easier to use an adjustable like this, like there isn't on Norton or anything else, as opposed to shims, where you got to take everything apart to shim it. It's kind of a pain. So I went with the adjustable on that. I bought this set, brand new old stock from Switzerland. The motor's going to a lot of polish on the cases. The side cases are all highly polished, and then the motor case are going to be the satiny look, just like this. So it'll be a nice contrast with all the rest of the glitter. My exhaust is all re-chromed, and I got a brand new muffler, and so
It's going
It's coming together. I just need the motor back now from the machinist, and then I can start building the motor.
That's the fun part. I know you enjoy building your
Well,
motors.
it's a lot of, there's shims. All the rest of the motor stuff is here, and the gearbox is all internal with the crank. So it's kind of a, once it's together, the gearbox, it's not like you pull the gearbox out and rebuild it. You got to take the whole motor apart.
Wow.
But you can have these motors out in 10 minutes. I think they're pretty easy to pop out. They're not 3 bolts and you're basically out. It's not like a Commando where you've got, you know, cradle and gearbox mounted to it.
So you really got the Italian bug then, didn't you, with that Ducati that you were working on, the 900?
I did.
900
Yeah, I
SS?
did. That really, that was my bug. I caught that bug, and but I'm just trying to, from my knowledge, that's the best that I can really explain about these bikes, the history of them. I've got every book on the thing, and I've been through all of them. I've got all the workshop manuals, and I've even got the original brochures and stuff on them that I've managed to find. But
you've made such great progress. I barely can do an oil change on my bike.
Yeah, but
you've built a bike.
But you're working. You're working all the
sure,
time, Mike. You know, I'm not working. I'm a stay-at-home bum right now. You know, I can afford to do this, and this has really been keeping me busy.
Well, I hope I can come back when.
We'll have to
do the big reveal.
Maybe when I get the motor here and the motor's going together, you could do one camera on it and just do a short little something on it, you know, and then we'll do a reveal. Yeah.
But no, love to come back, George.
Yeah.
Thanks again for sharing your project.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate it. It's a lovely
coming.
bike.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, George.
It's been a lot of fun. It's going to be pretty.